Every time you swipe this one payment method, it feels harmless. No pain, no pause, no second thought. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because the easiest way to pay is often the easiest way to overspend. And while you think you're buying convenience, you may actually be buying stress, debt, and a slower future. The truth is, this payment method isn't just taking your money, it may be quietly training you to stay broke. If you've ever looked at your bank balance and wondered, where did all my money go? The answer might not be your income. It might not even be inflation. It might be the way you pay. Because the most dangerous payment method is not always the most expensive one. Sometimes it's the one that feels the most normal, the one everyone uses, the one that makes spending feel invisible. And for millions of people, that payment method is the credit card. Now, before you get defensive, let's be clear. Credit cards are not evil. In fact, when used correctly, they can be useful. They can build credit, offer rewards, and provide convenience. But that's the surface level story. Underneath that convenience is a powerful psychological trap that makes people spend more, feel less, and slowly lose control of their money without realizing it. Here's the problem. When you pay with cash, your brain feels the loss instantly. You hand over physical money. You see it disappear. There is friction. There is pain. That pain is actually healthy. It forces you to think, do I really want this? But when you pay with a credit card, especially a tap to pay card, that pain almost disappears. No counting, no hesitation, no emotional weight. You just tap, smile, and move on. The purchase feels effortless. And when spending feels effortless, spending increases. That is where the damage begins. You don't feel like you spent real money because technically, in that moment, you didn't. You borrowed it. And your brain loves that illusion. It lets you enjoy the reward now while pushing the consequences into the future. This is why people often spend more on cards than they would with cash. The card disconnects the pleasure of buying from the pain of paying. And once that habit becomes normal, you stop making financial decisions consciously. You start making them emotionally. You're tired, so you order food. You're stressed, so you shop online. You're bored, so you scroll, click, and buy. And because the card makes payment feel so small, every purchase seems harmless. $10 here, $20 there, a subscription, a coffee, a late night impulse buy. It never feels like one big mistake. It feels like 100 tiny ones. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Financial problems usually don't come from one dramatic purchase. They come from invisible patterns. Then comes the second trap, the minimum payment. This is where credit cards stop being convenient and start becoming expensive. The statement arrives, and instead of paying the full balance, you see a smaller number. Manageable, easy, safe looking, the minimum payment, and it feels like relief. But that relief is a lie, because when you only pay the minimum, you are not solving the problem, you are extending it. You are turning today's spending into months, sometimes years of repayment. And while you're doing that, interest keeps growing in the background like a leak you can't see. That small, unpaid balance starts charging you for the privilege of staying behind. And most people underestimate just how destructive this is. They think, I'll catch up next month. But next month brings new spending, new bills, and new excuses. So the balance stays, the interest grows, and slowly your future income becomes trapped by your past decisions. That's what makes this payment method secretly make people poor. Not because it empties your wallet in one day, but because it steals from your future a little at a time. It steals your flexibility. It steals your peace of mind. It steals your ability to save. It steals your chance to invest. And eventually, it steals your momentum. Because every dollar going toward interest is a dollar not going toward your emergency fund, your business, your retirement, your goals, or your freedom. Think about that. A credit card doesn't just make things cost more, it can make your life move slower. Slower progress, slower savings, slower wealth. You work hard for money, but instead of using that money to build your future, you use it to pay for your past. And the worst part, most people don't even notice it happening. They think they have a spending problem, but what they really have is a friction problem. Their payment method makes spending too easy and consequences too delayed. And when consequences are delayed, behavior rarely changes. That's why someone can earn more money and still stay broke. Because if the system of spending stays broken, a higher income just gives them a bigger credit limit to damage themselves with. This is why financial discipline is not only about how much you make, it's about how much friction exists between you and your impulses. If you want to stop this cycle, you don't need to become extreme overnight. You just need to make spending visible again. Start by tracking every card purchase for 30 days, not in your head. On paper or in an app, make each transaction real. Next, stop using your credit card for emotional spending categories like food delivery, random online shopping, and entertainment. Use debit or cash for those. Why? Because debit reminds you the money is leaving now, not later. Then, if you do use a credit card, make one rule non-negotiable: never spend what you cannot pay in full this month. Not next month. Not after your bonus. Not when things calm down. This month. And if you already carry debt, stop focusing only on the minimum payment. Attack the balance with intention. Cut unnecessary spending, increase payments, and treat high interest debt like the emergency it actually is. Because wealth is not just about earning more, it's about keeping more. And sometimes the biggest threat to that is not a recession, not bad luck, and not even low income. Sometimes it's a shiny little card that makes every bad decision feel painless. So no, the payment method itself is not cursed. But if it makes spending feel invisible, if it encourages you to borrow for a lifestyle you haven't earned, and if it tricks you into normalizing debt, then yes, it can absolutely keep you poor. The people who build wealth understand something simple. Every payment method changes behavior. Some make you more intentional, others make you more impulsive. And your financial future is often the result of those repeated behaviors, not one-time choices. So the next time you reach for that card, pause for just a second and ask yourself one question. Am I buying this with money I already have, or with money my future self will have to suffer for? Because that one question can save you from years of silent financial damage. And sometimes, becoming richer doesn't start with earning more. It starts with making it harder to waste what you already have.